4 Bud Light marketing lessons from an ex Fortune 100 brand manager. Number 1, appeal to the masses, not niche segments. Now, usually what we're taught in marketing theory is that we can segment the market into different niches and then we can dominate those niches. We can call it a blue ocean where we're highly differentiated. We don't face a lot of competition, and then we can own that piece of the pie. But in the real world, when you need millions of customers, what you have to do is you have to go after the core market. You have to go after the largest segments in the market. In other words, you're doing mass marketing. So, one of my early realizations as a global brand manager was that to have a viable brand, to have sales that actually make a dent in your financials, I had to appeal to the largest segment in the market. It didn't matter if my product was the perfect fit for somebody else. I had to go after the biggest group because that's where the money potential was. And that's true with Bud Light as well. So, what Bud Light did was they failed to focus on the core buyer, and therefore they failed at mass marketing because they were trying to do kind of this niche play. Okay, so number 1 is having a better approach to mass marketing. Number 2 big mistake they made was, they destroyed value. So marketers often do this. Destroy value for customers because they don't understand why customers buy. And I see this all the time. I see companies that build and brag about features that customers don't care about, but not only do they not care about those features, but those features actually get in the way. They actually actively destroy value. And the irony here is that these companies often brag about them as key points of difference, which is what we're seeing with the focus in Bud Light's marketing. So, what matters to you isn't necessarily what matters to customers, and customers see the world very differently than you do. So if we look at the marketing strategy that Bud Light had, their stated marketing strategy was inclusivity. That means one thing to the brand manager and quite the opposite to the core beer drinker. So Bud Light really failed to empathize with the core buyer and they actively destroyed value for that core buyer. All right, number 3, appeal to self interest, not highfalutin values or ideals. So people buy because the product benefits them. Rarely do they buy because it benefits other people. That might be something that makes for a good PR story, but when people are actually laying out cash to buy something, it's usually because of self-interest or perhaps for somebody extremely close to them, such as a child. So if inclusivity is the cornerstone of your marketing strategy, you better make sure that customers perceive it as being in their self-interest. And in this case, they didn't. And that's one of the reasons that Bud Light failed. Number 4 big lesson here is when you're a big successful brand, not all awareness, reach, or PR is good. Now, with startups have nothing to lose. They can take big, bold bets that can harm their reputation, but they have no reputation to lose, so it doesn't matter. So they can do things like annoying cold emails. They can take a bold stance on a controversial topic. They can piggyback off things that are highly controversial, but you have to be much conservative when you're large because the nature of the game changes. So when you're small, it's not so much what people think of your brand as the fact that they even think of your brand at all. So the colossal problem that small brands have is an awareness problem. But once you're huge and you've been around for a very long time and you're doing mass marketing, perception becomes much more important than awareness. So not all publicity is good publicity.